Holiday shopping, in my case, not done yet because I don't get together with my family until after the new year. And some of you out there may want to return the gift you got and go out and pick up a copy of the book, Phil Jasner on the Case. We're joined by the author and also Phil's son. That's Andy Jasner now to talk about a great book. And I don't know about you, Scott Grayson, but I'll tell you this. There was a period of my time in my life, my Temple years, if you will, and the book is published by Temple University Press, a little plug there, that I read the Daily News. That was a daily ritual for me. It was a who's who of these Hall of Fame writers, the Van Hockmans, the Bill Conlins, the Phil Jasners of the world, Mike Kern, of course, Bill Fleischman. I run down the names, Rich Hoffman, and they're all gone. I mean, some of them gone, and some of them gone because of the changing nature of the way media is these days. But thank God for Andy Jasner, who took the labor of love, truly, to put together this book, and that's called Phil Jasner on the Case. He's with us now on the show. Hello, Andy. How are you?
Hey, guys. How are you? Happy to help a little bit, keep everybody's holiday spirit a little bit brighter.
Yeah, that's true, and brighter. This book and your dad, I can't believe you said 2010 in your email to me, and I thought, wow, 7 years already? I mean, it's not just
I know. I see it in my kids. That's how I know the years are passing.
Your father wrote more than just the Sixers. I mean, he worked for the Daily News for, almost 40 years? Talk a little bit about
everything.
Everything. This book isn't just Sixers related. That's a big strength of it. And, of course, Allen Iverson, one of the interviews you were able to get, he loved your father. But maybe the book is a potpourri, right?
Stan Hockman hired my dad in 1972, and he said, I knew I was getting someone good. I never imagined I was getting a 6-time Hall of Famer, which is what Dad turned out to be. And he just did the work ethic from his high school years to soccer, to the Big Five, to the Eagles, Phillies, and then on through the Sixers. It never changed whether he was 25 or 65. I mean, the work ethic never changed. And I know that because I went through thousands of stories to pick 60, which was not an easy task.
Yeah, talk about how the book breaks down. I'm glad you brought up the soccer because I mentioned the Philadelphia Atoms going to break. There's a new soccer team that's going to debut down here next season. It's affiliated. It's a minor league team, but the Tropicana is involved with that. Soccer's a big thing down here in South Jersey. Your dad covered the Atoms. I mean, people remember the Fury.
Hey,
who remembers the Atoms?
I was a ball boy on that team. I was a 4-year-old ball boy rolling the balls out to the players at the vet. So, I mean, it was, and that's very cool. And I covered the Union for a number of years, and right before my dad passed, he still loved soccer. We would talk about it. That was the Union's inaugural season in 2010. But he's most famously known for the Sixers. But, boy, when you go back and read those articles, he treated a Philadelphia Atoms trade in 1973 with the same energy as the famous Iverson practice press conference.
Right, that practice press conference everybody remembers, and I appreciate you bringing us back to the Sixers because that was the big thrust for him. One of the names, as I look down from the different chapters, one of the articles that you pulled out was owner Fitz Dixon gets caught up in Sixers fever and the excitement of Julius Erving. Now, I grew up in Plymouth Meeting, Andy, so we'd drive through this farmland real close to my house, and I'd be like, one guy owns all of this? And my dad would say,
crazy.
Yeah, and he owns the Sixers, too.
Well, when you read between the lines on that, too, and one of the reasons that the readers may not know why I chose that article, Fitz Dixon never spoke. He flat never talked to the media. And when Dad got that huge in-depth article with him, I remember, I mean, everybody went like, how did you get him? How did you get him? I mean, that was just the kind of person that he was and the kind of trust that people had in him. For those who refused to speak, they talked to Phil, and he would stay with it until he got it, and he did.
Andy, how would your dad have viewed what the Sixers did with tanking? I mean, how would that have gone over?
You know what? He would have written it, and I'm 100% confident of this, the same way he attacked everything else. He would have critiqued it. He would have said, this is not worth it. Not one season, but 4 seasons. And we're in season 5, and they're still below 500. So it's still not – they're not really all that close, despite what some of the process people may want to tell you, and they're completely wrong. He would have been extremely critical of it. However, he would have put the phone calls in. He would, even if Sam Hinkie didn't want to talk or talked off the record, he would have called him for every single article because that's just how he was. He had to write something tough He knew he had to show up the next day and face those people. And if you didn't do that with the professionalism and the class, you were not going to survive in this business. And no, he would not have liked it. But I don't think he would have done it personally. But, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that 75 wins in 4 seasons just isn't very good.
Tell me about, what he was like as a father from the standpoint of, every dad tells their kid, tries to give him advice. It's like, hey, whatever you do in life, try to make sure you enjoy it, and I'm sure, he loved doing what he did. What did he tell you about this business or about, writing that stuck with you the most about advice or about the decision to go into this field?
That's easy. I mean, he said, have integrity, have class, have honesty, and trust people and have them trust you. And after I graduated from Syracuse in 1991, I sent out a zillion resumes. I got one job offer, and it was down south, about 30 miles outside of Charlotte. So here I am as a young kid covering the ACC and covering high schools and covering the Hornets in their heyday back there with LJ and Alonzo Mourning. And he's like, no matter what game you're at, it could be a middle school football game, you treat that like it's the most important game of the day, even if the Super Bowl's on. And then those people will trust you at any level. And I never forgot that. No matter where I was, you have to put your energy in, because if you don't, the people and the principals at those events, they'll pick up on that very, very quick, and you'll lose everything that you worked for. And I have never forgotten that, and I pass that on to young writers when they ask me to this day.
Andy Jasner with us here on the Sports Bash. The book is On the Case. Phil Jasner. It's about his dad and the Hall of Fame sports writer for the Philadelphia Daily News. Great photos in the book as well. The cover photo is Doc. It looks like Franklin Marshall, maybe, where he's stretched out there.
Correct.
Okay.
1982, and the photo appeared in National Geographic. 1983. It was a feature on Doc. Somehow Dad got in that photo. To this day, I don't know how, but when I went through and I'm like, that's got to be my cover photo, because that, number one, that wouldn't happen today, and number two, they not only worked together, but they remain friends for life. In fact, Doc was invited to my wedding. That's how close the family has remained to this day, and it's just two guys having a talk.
Book's $25. You can find it on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com. It's available in bookstores as well. On the Case, Phil Jasner. We're with Andy Jasner here. How about the picture of your dad shooting a basketball over Joe Bryant? Not Kobe
Amazing,
Bryant.
huh?
This is Joe Bryant.
Amazing, and like some of the photos that I found were just classic, and he loved it. I believe that was a charity event, and Dad was always very big on anything charity. Anything he could do to help, and there wasn't a lot of hours in the day left for him, but he did. And then those pictures are just, when you see them now, they're priceless, because you look at them and you're like, wow, that number one, that's like 41 years ago, and number two, like that'll live on forever. And it's I have some other ones in the house that I could use them all. That, like, I have one with Charles Barkley as well. I have one of Dad reffing a 3-on-3 tournament, and Doc's yelling at him, it looks like, in the background. Just tremendous stuff, priceless photos, memories forever.
So last one to you, Andy Jasner, your takeaway now that the book is out. Labor of love, all the research. Obviously, I'm sure you feel it's worth it, but who was the one interview or what did you learn about your father that maybe you didn't know?
I would say probably Al Miller, and the Adams coach from the championship team in 1973. Dad was very private, and there were things that when he was going through his cancer illness, he didn't even share with me. And Al told me a story about how he emailed him, because they emailed often, how are you doing? And Dad wrote back and said, this might be the last time we ever communicate. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I mean, when you hear things like that and then you type it in an interview, it was pretty chilling. But everybody has different relationships, and everybody, does things differently. There were, in a positive way, there were tidbits and nuggets and articles throughout the book that I learned, that some I remembered, some I didn't, which was probably the most fascinating part of the whole, and I hate to use this word, process, but I did. And no, it was a labor of love, and it was like 9,000 hours, I'm kidding, worth of research and work, but worth every single minute.
Andy Jasner with us. The book is Phil Jasner, On the Case. You can find it on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, available in bookstores. I urge you to shell out the $25. I'm going to do that for sure, as I still have
Oh, it'll be
some holiday
cheaper.
gifts
It's
to do.
cheaper at Amazon. You can get discounts. If you have Barnes & Noble memberships, you can definitely save money on it.
Well, there you go. Andy, we thank you so much for your time, and I
Anytime.
really enjoyed spending some time with you and learning a little more about your dad as well. Thanks so much, bud.
And no problem. Tell your Eagles fans to relax. They're 13-2, top seed. The season's not done yet.
So says Andy Jasner. Thank you so much.